So I am Erica Elizabeth Poole, and I was born in Suffolk in England. My mum's from Canada and my dad was from England, and they met in England when my mum became a teacher, and so I was brought up there. But I had an aunt who lived in Canada, and so I'd had some great child experiences of Nova Scotia. And after studying in London for 4 years to become an osteopath, it became obvious that I needed to get out of London. And so I came here, and the plan was to just come for a year, but I met a boy, and that became a long-term plan, and so here I still am, happily married to Stephen, and I'm mum to a little girl called Beatrice, who is 5. And I'm very lucky to say that my parents actually ended up moving out here 5 years ago. So I feel like Bridgewater and Lunenburg County in Nova Scotia just absorbed me from like day one, and its people and the fascinating personalities that I meet. I became an osteopath in the UK and knew that I was going to be an osteopath from 14 years old. I met an osteopath who completely inspired me just in one treatment. The ability for a human being to influence and encourage health out of another was just so incredibly inspiring when I saw it. And so that was my original kind of career path, and I enjoy that to this day very much. And hopefully I can use my experience and knowledge to help guide them back to health, but also always under the knowledge that it is their body that's doing the healing, and my knowledge is just guiding them. It's not me kind of doing that for them. It's just me kind of guiding them with the knowledge base. I love to treat children because of they don't have boundaries or expectations over what they're going to achieve. At that time I was diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and at the time was told that that was my beginning, middle and end of my life story, that by the time I was 30 I would be lucky to be still functioning and alive, and I would never have a child. And also I was told I would never be a manual therapist. But I was in my first year of osteopathy, and I was a bit rebellious, and as far as I was concerned, those things didn't matter what they were telling me, so I just kept going. But the autoimmune history part has always become it's a part of me, and I think it's taught me a lot very early on about what it's like to live with chronic pain, and to learn how to fuel your desire for health through approaching illness as an opportunity to live. All of the time, I'm a mum, and I often feel like I'm not managing to keep all of the balances between Erica personally, Erica mum, Erica as a wife, and Erica trying to run a business. Always felt like all of those ships were sinking at the same time, and I just had fingers in all of them trying to stop them from sinking. But when I did my kind of serious, like, sit down and have a good chat with myself moment a couple of years ago, and I decided I'd write a list of all the things that 9-year-old Erica wanted to be when she was grown up. And those were like, I wanted to sing every day. I wanted to be around birds, and I wanted to be around plants and help people. I remember like helping people. So I wrote a list of all the things that made 9-year-old Erica happy. And then I promised myself that over the course of the next year, whether they were logical or not, they were going to be done. Didn't matter how silly I felt about the experience of doing it, whether or not anybody else thought that that was crazy, or that I shouldn't be doing it because I didn't have a skill that meant that that made sense. It was going to happen. And so I took this list of 9-year-old Erica's like wishes home with me. I realized these when I was on a holiday with my sister, and Somerset with my daughter as well, and came home and started checking them off the list. And around the same time, and plants was part of it, my husband had seen a poster for a local herbalist who was doing some workshop weeks. And her name was Benna, and the moment that I met her, I knew she was going to be my friend, and not in a creepy way, in like a, I can't wait to know what you know and spend time with you, because I just enjoyed her personality so much. And I booked myself on a 3-week apprenticeship in Scotland, studying herbal medicine at the Scottish School of Herbal Medicine, which seemed of no logic whatsoever because I had no previous experience. I didn't know what I was going to be doing with it. I have a daughter that I didn't feel like I could leave for 3 weeks, but I went, and I had the most incredible experience of my life on this island on the west coast of Scotland, and met an incredible group of people that taught me so much about being a human and what we all need to feel healthy and happy, and breathe life back into me again. And so I came back and thought, I can't live without plants now. Like, I've had this incredible experience and these incredible people, and I can't carry on unless I carry on with purpose. When people ask me, what am I doing right now? Or they find out, when they find out kind of what I've got on my plate, that's when they're always like, are you crazy? You're in school full-time, you're working full-time, and you're a mom. And on top of that, because I'm still very inspired by my osteopathic work, and I want to develop my skills in osteopathy, particularly with children and pregnant mums. I'm also signed up. I'm doing a modular-based course in the UK that involves me going to the UK 3 times a year, and so that started this March. And so I think the 5 weeks prior to last week, I was studying for 16 days, working for 13 or 14, and I only had 4 days off. And that's when everybody's like, this is a bit crazy, right? Like, this is a little nuts. But I've never felt so alive in my life. And it just feels right. And if it feels right, and the people that you love are willing to support you, and between my mom, my dad, my parents-in-law, and my husband, it's all just, it's knitting together and working out. So I feel very lucky. Community. And when Amazing. One person stands up and says, I feel like this, then there's the potential for everybody else who's been feeling like that potentially feels alienated to go, oh, I'm normal. Oh, there's another one of me. That's good. Okay, I thought I was like ridiculous and I shouldn't like disclose how I feel. And I went on a women's retreat about 1.5 years ago to Windhorse Farm, and that was one of the big steps that made me realize that how I was feeling was totally normal. But it happened because I was in a group of women that had no ego or agenda and just felt safe to express how they felt about husbands and partners and children and careers. And when you feel safety in a community, like that community, as empathetic human beings, there's nothing else that's going to happen but kind of everybody's going to rise up to support one another together. And so I love that story because it's a really good example of what, when one brave woman kind of is asked by another to tell her story, this is what happens. There's this beautiful reward of thousands of people getting to hear her story and realize that what they're feeling inside is they're not on their own, that there are more of them, and it's just wonderful. Absolutely. And for every one of us that thinks that we're the only one that's ever experienced anything, there will be 10 women who experience something similar that can empathetically associate. And then that sense of loneliness is gone. And I think we definitely, every human wakes up some mornings feeling like they're all alone, even when they're completely surrounded by family and friends. When you feel like maybe you're a bit misunderstood because you don't even really understand yourself or what it is that's going to make you happy if you don't feel like you are now, because what is happiness? Like, you know, it's this constant moving target. And so to have community around you of a diverse spectrum of people, that tribe, that you know, it can be small. For, you know, if you're lucky enough to have a small group of people that are there when you need them to be, and they've got this diverse background, then that's great. But outside of that, especially with technology as it is, we have this potential for this incredible tribe of women